What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and you're watching my weekly countdown series 7 on Sunday. I do hope that you're having a lovely Sunday, and if you're perhaps new in town, then make sure to hit that subscribe button because we talk about music several times a week every week on my channel. Today's episode of SOS is dedicated to actors and actresses, the film stars of America, that also simultaneously moonlight and play in bands, or else maybe they did in the past. The criteria for an actor or actress landing on the list today is not necessarily their popularity. In fact, I went out of my way to not pick the Jack Black and Tenacious D or the Jared Leto and 30 Seconds to Mars people of the world. I instead tried to land on those that maybe don't always have the spotlight on them, but the criteria was that they had to have done both gigs at the same time. That's right, managing playing in a band and also acting simultaneously. Whatever the case may be, I do hope that you enjoyed the episode today. I'm excited to talk to you about these actors and actresses who also play in bands. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a like on it, it helps out immensely. And also a special shout out to Penn Badgley, who you probably maybe know from Gossip Girl, but also from acting and starring as Joe in the Netflix original series You, which is definitely worth watching. But did you know that he also played in the band Mother, who I actually put on my best songs of 2016 list. The first actor that we're talking about today is Jason Schwartzman, formerly of the band Phantom Planet. He did leave the band in 2003 to pursue acting, but he was acting at the same time that he was in Phantom Planet. You might have seen him in shows like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or later on, you probably know him for his role on Bored to Death, the HBO series, for which he also composed the opening theme song for, and also Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. He played Gideon there, a great performance. Or you might know him for his many film collaborations with director Wes Anderson, a very talented individual. You probably know, obviously, Jason for Isle of Dogs, perhaps a writing collaboration there, or starring in Moonrise Kingdom. I had forgotten how much I truly enjoyed Phantom Planet before researching for this video, and I was turned on to their first two albums a long time ago, but revisiting them, it was such a good feeling, and you can see that Jason did have a hand in writing many of the tracks, including their hit song California, which was used as the theme song for the OC. Schwartzman is a talented drummer, although he's not necessarily the most dynamic one out there, but it really intrigued me when I learned this. I felt like I knew that, but it was almost like the information was shared with me in a past life. He's a good guy, and I genuinely think that Phantom Planet's first two albums especially, nothing against their final records or anything, but the first two, they just had this carefree vibe about much of them, displaying power pop, alternative rock, and really spirited hooks and songwriting that really settled in a very pleasant way. Jason Schwartzman is obviously a very talented actor, but he has a sense of fashion, a sense of music style, and a touch of finesse when it comes to actually crafting songs. So if you're interested, check out Phantom Planet and also check out his solo material released under the name Coconut Records. Taylor Momsen is our next feature, who you might know is little Cindy Lou Who from when she was a very young age. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, starring Jim Carrey. She obviously played a very big role there. Cindy Lou was the innocent little Who from Whoville. And I love coming back to that movie every single year, and every time I almost forget somehow, like, oh, that's Taylor Momsen from The Pretty Reckless. The Pretty Reckless are a hard rock band, and as of late they've been incorporating more blues into their sound, but they've had 3 records to date, and they've all been relatively spotty, but still, I do like the sound, and there's more than enough singles off of each record, like Make Me Wanna Die and Heaven Knows, to actually keep you coming back for more. Momsen clearly had aspirations for music above acting, as she finally left the show Gossip Girl after her character underwent some very serious changes starting with season 2. Her fashion was updated, and starting at just age 16, she released the first album, Light Me Up, under the name The Pretty Reckless with her band. The lineup has stayed consistent since 2010, and they've released several successful albums, they've charted many songs, and it's really cool to see an actress who actually left the industry for the most part to pursue her passion for music. Burn the streets, burn the cars, power. Our next pick today is probably going to turn a few heads because you might not have known this, but Ryan Gosling played in a band called Dead Man's Bones alongside one of his childhood friends, Zach. This was a very interesting project because it's very morbid stuff, and this honestly came out at the end of the 2000s, right before his career in acting really blew up in a major way. Yes, he had The Notebook under his belt already, but he hadn't yet done Drive and First Man and these other roles that you now know him for. Dead Man's Bones says it all right in the title. It's a very dark piece that was really just an album that was a snapshot in time. I think a lot of it was meant to be commentary, and it was obviously played up to the nth degree to really sell you on that sense of morbid stuff and the darkness. And in this group, not only did Gosling do vocals, he also played the piano and did bass. And it's always cool to me when I see somebody of that degree, somebody who I think is very charming and charismatic as an actor, can also actually play and compose music. It's just an extra talent, like add it to the resume, right?
Till the sun comes up and down around me about 2 or 3 times, smoking cigarettes in the last seat.
Oh, Michael Cera, how we love you and your boyish charm. Michael Cera has not only landed major roles like George Michael on one of my favorite comedies of all time, at least the first 3 seasons, Arrested Development, but he also starred in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Superbad alongside the likes of Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill, and also This Is the End. He's a good actor, and I do think that he's pretty offbeat. Not everyone is going to like him, but it makes sense to me that he actually makes music as well. Now, he has his solo project where he's released stuff under his own name. It was quietly dropped onto Bandcamp, the album True That, in 2014. Many people thought it was fake, but no, it's actually Michael Cera with a ukulele on the majority of the tracks, doing vocals, and handling most of the production himself. I was pretty impressed with it. There were some really catchy songs on there. I even reviewed it on my channel, and I found him to be a pretty talented musician. Now, I did a little bit of deeper digging, and he also collaborated with Weezer by playing the mandolin on the track Hang On Hurley while providing additional vocals, which was pretty rad. He also did some touring for a band that a lot of people probably won't recognize, Mr. Heavenly. He played the bass and toured with them, so that's where the band part actually comes in. He's collaborated, and he's a little bit more weird on the list than other people. He's not a primary member, but he's gotten his time in, and he's cut his chops in many different ways.
Closer I get, I don't wanna see your footsteps coming after me. Pick up the pace.
I know this member is actually pretty damn popular right now, but I could not resist putting Dylan Minnette, who you probably know from maybe the movie Don't Breathe, or Let's Be Real, the series 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. He also plays in the band Wallows. They started releasing music in 2017, dropping hit singles like Suntan and Pleaser and Uncomfortable, which I absolutely loved. But then they put out their spring EP the following year, and now they've got a debut album on the way. I've enjoyed much of their material. They kind of have an indie pop, alternative rock type sound, and it's kind of refreshing to see him and the other members kind of trading off duties on vocals, and Dylan primarily does do lead vocals, also rhythm guitars, and plays the keyboards. It's nice to see that maybe some of these actors and actresses who have a big voice and a big reach like this, if they're actually playing in bands and promoting music and making that seem a little bit cooler to kids than maybe, I don't know, the same run-of-the-mill stuff that you're hearing over and over again on Top 40, maybe we actually have a shot at actually making this kind of music cool again. Dylan is a talented individual. I think he's a good actor, not necessarily a great one. I enjoyed his performance in 13 Reasons Why, at least the first season, and I did really like him in Don't Breathe, a fantastic horror film, great for the genre. I think that the band Wallows have a ton of potential, and if they keep going at the rate they're going at now, I'm sure they're eventually gonna strike gold.
We all get to slip sometimes every day. I'll just keep it to myself in the sun.
Only 2 selections left to go, and out of those I will present you first with ZOOEY Deschanel. Just kidding, it's Zoe. ZOOEY Deschanel has cemented herself as a great actress in the industry with starring roles in the Christmas classic Elf and also the Concrete series New Girl that she was the star of, but a lot of people tend to forget that she makes music in the project She and Him. Now, that's kind of going on hiatus from time to time because of the fact that Zoe does have so many acting commitments, but they put out some Christmas albums that I think are fantastic, and their single from one of their original albums, In the Sun, is a joyous tune that I come back to anytime I need to put a smile on my face. Zoe's voice is very unique, and I find her to be an entertaining performer from the live clips that I've seen. I think that they have a great chemistry together as a duo, and I think it'll be fascinating to see if they do make more original music in the future. Obviously, it seemed like acting has come first for Zoe, but she still has a passion for music, as she obviously did do the theme song for New Girl. Frankie Muniz is the final actor that we're talking about today. You more than likely know him from the now certified classic film I think we all know and love, Agent Cody Banks, but if not that, then maybe you know him as like Malcolm from Malcolm in the Middle, I think it was. Sarcasm aside, Malcolm in the Middle was one of my childhood favorites. I grew up watching that show, and yeah, I definitely knew who Frankie Muniz was. He was very popular among the kid actors of that generation, and he went on to be not only a musician, but also a race car driver? Yeah, the dude has a lot of passions, and they're a little bit all over the place, but good on him for chasing his dreams and not just saying, well, I was a child actor, so I guess I gotta keep at this pipe dream, right? At a certain point around 2012, he became the drummer for a band called Kingsfoil, playing with several of his friends there, and even though he's no longer in that band, or even the other band that he drummed for, You Hang Up, he actually is a manager for several of those members, alongside running a very weird shop that I'm not exactly sure what he does, but I think it involves like packaging things all day. I read into it, but I still don't fully understand.
I still don't fully understand!
That's a wrap on this episode of 7 on Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in and dropping a like on the video. Let me know in the comments down below, did you know that these actors and actresses were actually in bands? Was this a shock to you, or have you known this for the longest time and you're like, come on John, that's old news. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see last week's episode of SOS, then tap right over here, or tap here for another recent video I uploaded on the channel where I made my dad react to songs that were banned during my childhood. Other than that, you can donate on Patreon at the top link down below, or else the annotation in the corner, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.